This is actually one of my favorite episodes. Jerry gets held up at a gunpoint to videotape a bootleg movie. What was the name of that movie? Cry Cry Again, Death Blow, Prognosis Negative, Ponce de Leon. I know it. Do you know it?
So I do remember Prognosis Negative, but I thought that that was a movie in a different episode that they had went to see, and they were gloating about how the guy was falling out of the helicopter, shooting back at it, while somebody else was stuck seeing a different movie. I could be completely wrong, but um, I don't know if that is the same. Okay, what's the second movie name that you said?
Death Blow.
Death Blow. So I'm gonna say Death Blow.
It is Death Blow. I'll check to
Okay,
make
all
sure,
right.
but it is Death Blow. That's the one where, yeah, Death Blow. It's one of my favorite ones because George becomes a bad man. Like, there's a girl that works for Elaine. This is when Elaine's running
Yeah,
the magazine with Jay Peterman
yeah.
gone, and so somehow like Elaine talks
He became the
George,
bad boy.
yeah, to the point where he's a bad boy, and so he's trying to live up to that hype. That's and then
Yeah,
and then yeah, and one of Kramer's friends is bootlegging a movie, but he eats too much candy, and then Jerry has to finish it. And I remember like Jerry and Kramer coming out of the movie, and Jerry being like, "I don't want to do this," and Kramer's just like, "Well, just get it done." And then they hear like a big crash, and then Kramer's like, "We're missing the death blow, man," and he's just so yeah, it's one of
yeah,
my favorite episodes. And then
yep.
eventually in the end, George bootlegs the movie to try to because the girl realizes that he's actually not a bad man.
Yeah, yeah, because Lane's like, "George is a good man. He's a
Yeah,
good person,"
on the
and he's like,
phone, and he's
"No,
like, "No,
no."
hang up the phone, Elaine,
Yeah,
hang up the phone." Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's great.
yeah,
And
I
then
remember
he
that.
gets arrested like at a sting operation. And then I
Yeah,
remember the last scene because George's dad comes down and
yeah,
Elaine's there with the girl and George in George's dad, Frank Costanza, played by the great Jerry Stiller. He's like, who put you up to this? Because my George isn't clever enough for a scheme like this. And then him and Elaine are about to get into it. Like she's like, it was
yeah,
me or something like that. And he's like, oh, you want a piece of me? And then they get to fight. There is a blooper reel. I love Seinfeld blooper reels. So if anybody wants to go out there and have some laughs, there's a ton of them. But there's like a 5 or 6 minute blooper reel where Elaine cannot. She's usually the one that has problems getting through the scenes. She cannot get through it every time. George's dad says, "You want a piece of me? You got it!" And then he's screaming, and it's
yeah.
hilarious. Great episode.
I also love in that episode how Jerry, after getting positive feedback from the other movie, he starts getting really artistic about his
Yeah,
bootlegging,
he's like, "We're gonna need
and
like
he's
three
like,
cameras
"We're gonna
here."
need guys over here,
Yeah,
guys over here." And yeah, and he gets into it, and then until he has this moment where he's like, "What the hell am I thinking?"
right.
And then he's like, "I can't do it." Now, it might somehow fitting into this episode. Isn't there something about where the bootleg guy needs a video, so he like he's like, "Is this it?" And he grabs a tape,
This is the
but the tape at the
same
end.
one where Elaine dances. This
That's
is the
right. That's what I
whole
was thinking of.
reason why the one girl, like Elaine, thinks that the people at work are being weird because George went to the party with her. And George tells
Yeah,
Jerry, "Hey, have you ever seen Elaine dance?" And Jerry's like, "Oh my God, she danced." And one of the greatest Seinfeld lines ever, George says, is more like a full body dry heave.
yeah.
And then she uses the camera
Record herself.
to record herself, and she's doing like the thumbs that she does. And
Yep.
fabulous dance. But yeah, so just one of those episodes where everybody's got a great storyline and it all comes together at the end.
Yeah, really great episode.
Yeah.